We'll talk about a concept called thresholds. And thresholds mean basically how easy or hard is it to elicit a reaction in a dog with regards to a wide variety of different stimuli, right? So a low threshold dog reacts easily to certain stimuli, and a high threshold dog is hard to get to react, right? And so you could talk about thresholds with regards to social stimulation, right? So a dog that has a low threshold for social stress or social pressure perceives threat really easily. They see a new person and they're like, ooh, I don't know that person. I don't know about this. That person may be bad. A dog with a high threshold is like, hey, look, a person, hi, right? So they don't perceive threat easily at all. You could say a low threshold dog notices new things in the environment, right? They notice new surfaces they're walking on, new sights, new sounds, those kinds of things. A high threshold dog, oblivious to a lot of that kind of stuff, doesn't seem to pay any attention, right? And so you can talk about thresholds with regards to a lot of aspects of personality and training, right? The thing about thresholds is there's a genetic component to thresholds, but also they're modifiable through training, right? So if a dog was born a certain way and nothing we did would change that, 3/4 of what we do as dog trainers would be a waste of time, right? But we can change thresholds based on experience, so especially in puppies. So you see a lot of low threshold puppies that appear reactive and nervous to a lot of things, and if we do our job right, that just gradually goes away. And you see them as adults and you're like, oh, you'd never even know it, right? As we go along. So luckily we can change these. A big part of what we'll talk about in here is when we're establishing thresholds, I call it establishing a behavioral baseline for a dog, right? So getting to know this dog, this puppy. How does it react? What is it like? What doesn't it like? How does it carry itself, right? So dogs are all different in terms of how they carry themselves naturally. Some dogs are really upright, ears up, tail up. Other dogs don't move that way. They carry their bodies differently. And so I get a read on a given dog and how they behave when they're comfortable and how they behave when they're uncomfortable so that I can tell what their thresholds are, how easily stressed are they by various things. And that's how I determine where to put my energy in training. And so a lot of our early observation of puppies is just getting a read on what their genetic thresholds are so that we can then tailor our training program to fit that dog and adjust to the problems that they may have as we go along, right? Don't get too upset with puppies that are nervous about stuff, right? This is a big deal. It's especially bad in the working dog communities where people go, they see a little puppy and they're like, oh, that puppy was afraid of stuff. Oop, that puppy didn't like loud noises. No good, right? It's really easy to get down on your dog if your dog has some issues when they're young. Be aware that lots of puppies go through this, and if you do your job right, lots of them will come through and you'll never see it. Those dogs can go on to be very functional dogs, functional working dogs, all those kinds of things. So some degree of suspicion and fear is natural. It's adaptive. It's normal. It's how creatures stay alive in the world. We have it too. Novelty makes you a little cautious. If you're going someplace you've never been, you're meeting people you've never seen, you're entering a culture that you're unfamiliar with, you're immediately a little like, how does this work? Is this safe? Am I okay? And if you're well socialized, you adjust quickly and realize, okay, nothing to worry about here, and you're off. But your natural instinctive reaction is like, that's not what I'm used to seeing. Is that okay? Am I safe? Right? And some degree of suspicion of novelty is what keeps creatures alive in the world. So you never get rid of that completely. It's a part of the process. I also love to say, because this is going to be something, in these classes, all of our classes, ultimately we have people that are coming into dog training from a wide variety of areas of interest, right? Dog training is dog training on its most base level, but we have people that are interested in being competitive sport trainers and professional working dog trainers and pet dog trainers, a wide variety of things, right? So we have different goals for our dogs. And especially in the working dog communities, again, people can get very caught up in how good a puppy is at a certain stage. Like, I have a 12-week-old puppy, he's totally awesome, he's doing all kinds of great stuff, right? You have to remember that it's not a puppy contest, right? There's no contest for the best puppy. It's what they grow up to be that matters. It's the finished product, right? Like, how many people won the junior national tennis championships and they go on and win Wimbledon? Most of them don't, right? Like, you got a really good junior tennis player, but the chances that they stay and are the best tennis player in the world later, not so much, right? So it's the end result. And so don't overjudge your puppy, right? It's a huge deal. You got to get behind that puppy. So while we're doing our behavioral tests and analysis of the puppy, I want to know where their weaknesses lie so that I can address them, but I can't get caught up too much in it. As soon as you begin to see that, you can begin to actually poke it too much. There's going to be a concept where when people see a problem with their dog, they want to fix the problem. So they put a magnifying glass on the problem and they make it worse. Because every time the puppy goes out, like my puppy doesn't like loud noises. So every time I take the puppy out, I got to expose it to some loud noises so it'll get better. Well, you can have the exact opposite effect. Instead of desensitizing your puppy to those things, you wind up doing what we call sensitizing the puppy, making it worse. The dog goes, every time I go out, loud noises go off. Now I hate going out, right? And you overemphasize the dog's weaknesses, and you can make those weaknesses worse, right? So you want to pay attention to them so that you put them into the long-term program, but don't try to fix them overnight, right? And don't obsess too much about weaknesses that your puppy might show at a certain stage. Now I'm off my soapbox.